Hi y'all! As usual, I'm not filming a proper intro. I don't think anyone's surprised at this point. So for the month of May, for the latter half, I actually didn't end up using my bullet journal at all. I was really busy and I didn't take the time to plan out what I needed to do, which was a mistake because I ended up being super disorganized and the end of school was crazy. So with June comes a chance for me to get reorganized, start my summer off, and kind of reevaluate what I actually want in my bullet journal. So this month's theme is a mushroom, fairy, gardeny, woodland theme. And I had this idea in April, and then AmandaRachLee ended up doing it for her May theme. And so I took a little bit of inspiration from that, and for the layout, it is inspired by Little Lost Bujo's September 2020 theme. So without further ado, let's get journaling. For my June cover page, I wanted to choose a font that was a little bit whimsical, but also that wasn't going to take me forever to draw, because this month is going to be very busy for me, and I didn't want to make myself spend more time than was necessary when I can just easily get something that's pretty with less effort. So I ended up with this typewriter-esque font with just a few extra little curly cues. And then for the theme, I decided to do a sort of circle around it and then fill it in with different plants and mushrooms, and only go a little bit halfway, so it's just not quite a complete circle. And again, this is from sienasalittlelost Bujo's September theme, so I believe she has a plan with me up on her channel, so if you want to check it out, I highly recommend her. Her videos are super fun. Once I'd gotten a basic sketch down, I started outlining everything, and I'm using a Pilot G2 pen, which if you know me, you know is my favorite pen. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about it, but it really is the best pen that I've found so far to bullet journal. So I'm keeping the outlines super minimal, just as much detail as necessary to look cute to me, but nothing that's going to spend a lot of time to draw. After I finished the outline, I just added a little bit of circle-y sparkles just to kind of fill in the circle and make it a little bit more flow. I erased it with my rubber eraser, and now it is time to color, which is absolutely my favorite part. So my tripod started fighting me, so we had a little battle and I eventually won, but it kept swinging off to the side, so that's what you'll see here. The colors I am using are 856 for this red, and then this is a zebra mild liner in the color vermilion, and then there we go, I'm kind of winning. Alright, and then the light green Tombow is 192, the dark green Tombow is 226, and the brown Tombow is 977. I decided to leave quite a bit of white space on this cover page, which isn't something I always do, but some of my May pages felt a little bit crowded, so I decided to just let it breathe for this June cover page. And now onto the quote page. One thing I really wanted to focus on in June was some of my summer goals. So each week in my weekly, I'm going to have a goals section, and I'm going to make sure I actually do something each week to accomplish some of my short-term goals for this summer. So I used this quote, "Keep watering yourself, you're growing," which I've actually used maybe 2 or 3 times before. Every single time I do like a flowery or plant theme, I almost always end up using this quote, and at this point I'm doing it on purpose because I just think it's a really good quote, and just a reminder to yourself that even if you don't see progress, it still is there. Anyway, so I have a little mini calendar on here as well as a notes section, and then I'm just filling up the empty space with some more plant doodles. These are super simple and easy, by the way. I think anyone could do them if you just take note of the different shapes, and they're really simple. So one thing you might have noticed is as I'm filming this, I'm flipping to a lot of different pages in my bullet journal to take inspiration from them and just jot down little ideas, which usually is something I edit out because it's kind of weird to see on screen when the pages start speeding up, but I just wanted to show you guys that that is something I do. So you might have noticed that the quote page has a lot less empty space than the cover page, and I did that just because I kind of wanted to balance it out a little bit. So with the simplicity and then the one that's a little bit more complex, I think it ends up not being too overwhelming. By the way, I just wanted to talk about this color scheme for a moment because it's not one that I see too often everywhere. No, it is contrasting colors, so there's that. And then it's actually the colors that I have on my phone as like my iOS theme. That was random, but I just wanted to throw that in. As I sort of mentioned earlier, one thing I really want to start focusing on is making sure that everything in my bullet journal is intentional and that I'm not doing it purely for Instagram or YouTube, and that I'm actually doing it because it makes sense for my life. Of course, like the little doodles and everything personally makes me happy, so I don't mind spending the extra little time to make it cute. And I actually get sad when I don't draw anything for a few weeks, and then I have to realize, like, if I'm not doing something creative, my brain gets sad. So making sure that my bullet journal works for me is something I'm really making sure I incorporate, especially this month. And so I want to focus on my goals this summer, so I'm making sure that's pretty prominent in this setup. And yeah, just something to consider. Make sure your bullet journal works for you. I think this is something I really need to keep in mind when I'm making my habit trackers, because I didn't even touch my May or my April trackers, and my March ones I got about 1 or 2 weeks into March, and then I didn't touch it for the rest of them. So it's been about 2.5 months. So I kind of reevaluated my habit trackers into something focusing on the habits I actually want to do, because if you just try to do too much, you don't get anything done. So that was part of my focus for this month. One really random thing that I just want to throw in is because of the size of this bullet journal, when I try to space out the calendar boxes, which are 7 across, it can't be even because there's not the right number of dots on the page. And I don't think you really notice, but it's something I always notice when I'm making my habit tracker spread, so I just thought I'd note that. So for this spread, I had it start out simple and then I slowly added a little bit more detail. Sometimes I'll start my spreads off simple, keep them simple, sometimes they end up more complex, and sometimes they start out complex. So I have a pretty wide range of spreads in my journal. So I'm curious as to what kind of spreads y'all like to use in your journal. Is there a spread that's super popular that you just never use? Is there a spread you put in and don't end up actually using? Is there a spread you absolutely have to have? I'm curious, let me know. So I usually have my habit tracker and then my exercise routines on 2 different pages, like one full spread. This month I realized that I had enough room to just squeeze it onto 1 page, so I just went ahead and did that just to mix it up and save a little bit of space, because it's not really necessary for it to be 2 pages, so I might as well not make it 2 pages. I've been super bad about exercising lately, so this month's goals, the bar is set very low, but a little bit is better than nothing. Remember, it's always better to do a little bit of consistent effort than procrastinating and then one big push, or starting off strong and then never doing anything ever again. Once I'd finished coloring in the calendar boxes, I just added a few little plant doodles, a box around the exercises, and then I just added a little notes section just to fill in the void. Also, my drawing's a little bit cut off from the angle of the camera. Sorry about that, but I think you get the idea. Once I started picking which habits I wanted to track this month, I was very intentional about what I wanted to do, because again, like I've been mentioning, it's better to get a few things accomplished than to set yourself up to do all of this big stuff and not do anything. So I was a little bit careful than I usually am, and I'm pretty happy with the habits that I chose. With the spread that normally would have been my exercise routines, I decided to just do a brain dump this month because I have a lot going on this month. My schedule's kind of wonky, and I figure I'll definitely need a space to just write down some stuff. I kept this spread super simple. I think I literally made it in about 3 minutes. So this month, as it's our first month off of school for many of us, I'd like to encourage you to be really intentional about what you're spending your time on and what you're letting into your life. And I mean, that's good advice for all the months, but especially summer, which if you're not careful, you can end up just spending hours on your phone or other stuff, and school year comes and you're like, wait, I was not ready. So anyway, I really enjoyed this month's playing with me. I hope you guys too. I post nearly every Sunday, so I hope you'll stick around. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!